a little over 20, or right at 20 years ago, early 2000s. And we didn't have an army worm problem back then. I didn't see them in the yards. I didn't know anything about spraying my yard for them. And then it seemed like as the 2000s, you got closer to 2010, we started having them invade neighborhoods. And now they're eating up food plots. I mean, it's pretty bad. Hey, welcome back to the Buck Junkie Podcast. We are a man down today, guys.
Yep.
Jamie is taking a fall vacation, I guess.
It's fall break.
So, it's fall break.
Yeah.
His daughter's out of school this week.
I think his boss lets him off for fall break.
I got mine last year. Or last week, not last year.
Fall break.
We didn't have,
we didn't have fall break when we were kids.
No, but man, it would have been a good time to take a week.
I'd much rather had fall break than had spring break when I was a kid. This is the time of the year that we just love being in the woods and outside and stuff.
Well, spring break, ours is too early. It's like right at the 1st of March.
It's still cold.
You ain't even turkey season yet. So that messes us up. What are we going to talk about today? Y'all had guests on last week, right? I was out on that one.
Chisholm Craig.
He come in and talk about food plot seeds and everything.
He come in and talks about chemicals, seeds, proper ways of planting, stuff like that.
What do you think about your plots at home? Did you get into detail with him about?
He probably didn't like my plots at home. They wasn't near as scientific as what he'd probably want to plant. We done the redneck version.
There ain't nothing wrong with that, man. I tell you what, you do what you can. That's what matters. You want something green to hunt over. I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with it. I like a little plot like that around the house.
Where my plot was, I was going to hunt over sweet gums or get rid of them and put something in the ground. So that was what we did.
So you had kind of a twofold. Oh, I did see a building for you today. It's $17,000, 40 by 60, 12 by 12 door with a man door.
We'll get to it.
Go check it out. It's fall special. What's that place called? Something Tennessee.
I have no
Blue Steel, I think.
What size was it?
40 by 60. It's the same size I got out here. 40 by 60. It was a screaming deal. It don't come with any concrete, but
yeah, that's where it gets.
That's where it gets a little high.
Yeah, that's where it gets entertaining there.
Mikey, what'd you do at the house this past weekend? I saw you took the tractor.
Yeah, we planted some food plots this weekend. I had to do a little maintenance on our place with the brush cutter to get in there to even plant a freaking food plot. Man, the cotton picking sweet gums are awful at our house. That and privet.
That's the worst trees.
Man, we till up that field every year, and you come back in there, it's full of sweet gums again. And they're about, they're not no bigger than your pinky finger, but man, they're just evasive right there. I don't know why they're that bad. Right in that field, like.
So we've got hills like that out here. It has to do with something about the way they pollinate.
Yeah.
Spread their seeds.
So there is some old fence lines around in there where they used to have cattle out there, and it's got a lot of sweet gum and elm trees and stuff like that in the fence line. So I guess what it is, when I till it up, it's blowing those seeds back over in the field and they're sprouting up every year. So,
well, since the topic around here has been food plots lately and everybody I'm talking to is fighting army worms, I figured that's what we'd talk about today. What can you do to fight army worms? Now, I don't know if they're everywhere. I don't know. When do y'all, to me, I started doing food plots on my dad's place probably a little over 20, or right at 20 years ago, early 2000s. And we didn't have an army worm problem back then. I didn't see them in the yards. I didn't know anything about spraying my yard for them. And then it seemed like as the 2000s, you got closer to 2010, we started having them invade neighborhoods. And now they're eating up food plots. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know where they came from, and I'm sure they've been around for years, but maybe they weren't in this, in our area or whatever, but I guess they migrated in here in these warmer climates, coming in here and they can stay here for 9 months out of the year if they want to, just in this climate that we have around here. But I guess they were pretty prominent somewhere else and they migrate.
So what's happening this year, if you tried to plant before, we've had one major rain event since about the middle of September. That's about it. We've been dry as we could be. And we've always tried to get our food plots in before rain around, right after Labor Day. It used to be Labor Day weekend, you dove hunt and then you do your food plots. And that's the way I always did them. But now if you do that and I don't know if it's army worm year, whatever you want to call it, you're risking them just destroying whatever you got coming up.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it. We've seen it on our dove field. We just went out and kind of looked at things today. I noticed them first. Well, Martin, you pointed it out here around the house.
Heck, you couldn't miss them.
There was thousands. It was thousands, and they were crawling across the concrete and trying to get to a different part of the yard. And they wiped. This place was sodded. We had a pretty good stand of Bermuda just around the house, kind of in between the smokehouse here. And they wiped the yard out in probably 2 or 3 days. It went from really green, pretty Bermuda to now it's just dead thatch. It's starting to green back up a little bit, but I didn't spray. Do y'all spray y'all's yards at home for them? I mean, here I was just like, well, we got them.
I won't need the yard up. I ain't gonna cut no grass.
That's what I was thinking here. Like, it ain't gonna
Brown's it comes back.
But so did y'all spray at home?
No.
Did you, Mark?
No, I ended up, which I didn't have any issues until I think one of them got on my truck tire from down here.
You took them back.
It took them to my house because it wasn't 2 days later they were at my house. But we ended up, I sprayed after I realized I had them. I didn't do any preventative because I got a pretty good chunk of change off of my yard the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Just trying to, where I'm at, it's terrible dirt. Nothing grows, but
it was just old pasture, wasn't it?
I mean, the ground sucks. So I've been working hard trying to get it to where at least something will grow. And I had them 2 years ago. I had them pretty bad 2 years ago, and then didn't have them last year, and thought I was going to be lucky this year because I mean it's late for them. Usually you get them dead heat of July,
Yeah, August,
and
right after September. You hope they're gone by September, but they didn't get going until after Labor Day here.
Luckily, I caught them quick enough to where they didn't really mess my yard up or nothing like that. But it was a pile of them. I mean, it's a lot of them, and they're bigger. Like I'd always thought, like an armyworm was like a teeny tiny little thing, and man, some of these was
Pretty good
caterpillars.
Size. Yeah.
I guess when they got 5 acres of Bermuda at my house just to mow on, they had plenty.
Feeding, they got plenty to eat. Well, so what around the house, what's a good treatment that y'all, besides hiring somebody to come do it?
So my father-in-law, he had it bad, same time I did. And then he ended up spraying
Malcom.
What's the
Bifin.
That's what we spray the stands with and up
Right.
under the porches and stuff.
And he said the next day, he didn't have a fire ant, he didn't have a worm, he didn't have nothing, but he has a pond, and you cannot spray that around that pond. So he sprayed.
They kill fish
Yeah, they say it's very detrimental to water.
Yeah.
So he sprayed, I think the other
Malcom.
Yeah, around the pond or something like that, real by hand, not with a sprayer, but like a pump up hand sprayer, and got the rest of them. But he had them way worse than I did.
Well, I know that Bifin's not very. I mean, it's about what $170 a gallon, so it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, that covers a bunch because you mix with water and stuff. But what are some options? Like say around the house, that's fine because usually you don't have that much acreage.
Right.
You're trying to
small application.
Some, bigger
buy
plots.
the Bifin in the Malcom and do that. Those are.
Is that the same chemical or is it two different? There's two different chemicals.
They're different. They're both a pesticide, but they're different chemicals. But you can spray in a small application. You spray the Malcom or the Bifin in your yard or something like that. I mean, most people's yards are not much bigger than an acre and a half. So, if you spray it with a pump up sprayer, that's an easy application. Cost you $30, maybe, just to get rid of the armyworms.
So is it a preventative or is it something once you see them, it's okay to go ahead and
when you spray it on, it doesn't really kill them. It just keeps them away is what it does. So when you spray it down, it's something in there they don't like.
they'll move on
and they'll move on somewhere else. And that's really all you're doing. You're just protecting. You're not really killing them. But they, in a larger application, you really need for it to be cheap enough for you to do it. You really need to buy a different kind of chemical than those. Because, if you're spraying, just say you had 15, 20 acres of food plots and you want to go out and spray food plots with Bifin, Lord have mercy, that stuff's, it's liable to cost you $500-$600 to spray that.
Well, anybody can go buy that, co-op.
Yeah, that's right.
But some other chemicals that'll work, you can't just go buy. You got to have a license, right?
Right. So
how does that?
I ain't even going to say this correctly, but you can spray lambda cyhalothrin.
You
LAMBDACYHALOTHRIN.
used all the letters on that one.
I don't know why they think make the names easy to pronounce.
So what's the difference in that? Is it a more toxic chemical where the average person can't just go get it at Home Depot and spray it or whatever?
Yeah, it's one of those chemicals that you have to have a certification to be able to spray because it has some effects to it that can damage the environment. Or if you're not spraying it, I say that not to say that it's a bad thing. It's just you have to be really careful with it. You don't want to get it in water. You don't want to get it, you need to be spraying it when there's no wind. So somebody that's certified needs to be able to, needs to be the person spraying it. And they won't even sell it to you unless you have a certification.
So can anybody go get that certification? So if you got your own land and you want to spray that chemical?
Yep. You can, it's called a private applicator certification. And it's the same thing that farmers have. You can go down to unless it's like ours, you can go down to your local Mississippi State Extension office. Mississippi State for us, somebody else I don't know. If you're in Michigan, I guess it'd be Michigan State University. Whoever the ag school is in your state, that's who generally gives those tests and does those certifications.
Mike can do them online.
Yeah. Like this year, I got to do mine online to get recertified because they're not giving any tests at our extension office this year. So they have it available online. The only thing with doing it online is you have to make a 100. There's no, you can't pass with an 80. You have to make a 100.
How difficult is it? Is it something you're going to study for, or is it common sense?
If you just had to go straight in it with no kind of, not being able to look at anything and go back and look in a book or anything like that, you need to study.
So, but you could use a little cheat book if you take it.
Yeah.
They ain't there watching you. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Well, when you
find somebody that's taking the test.
When you go in and take the test, there's like 20 people. So to get certified, you go in, you sign up for it, you go sit down. I forget what it costs to get it, $20, $30, $40. Pay that, and you go in, you sit in it. It's just like anything else. You go in and sit in the class, you sit there and you watch videos for 2 hours or however long the videos are, and
then you test after that.
And then you test right after that. So while you're doing the test, you're reading down the questions, and the teacher or whatever's question number one, they kind of read through everything with you, and
it's pretty simplified.
Well, they figure if you've already been certified and you're recertifying,
do you have to know flow rates and all the stuff, like the calculations and all that stuff?
You need to know how to calibrate sprayers. You need to know what kind of wind you can or can't spray in. You need to know what certain chemicals that what effects they have on the environment and stuff like that. The main thing is that with that certification, it's not that you know how to spray. It's that you know how to be careful and spray, that you're going to go back and you're going to look at that book, or you're going to, revert back to the, safety aspects of spraying and stuff like that, and not just go out there and just mix whatever the hell in a sprayer and just go spray it 3 times the rate where it's laying on top of the ground. The next rain is in
the ditch, the neighbor's run off, or killed, oversprayed the neighbor.
They want to just make sure that you're, doing what you're supposed to be doing. As far as them educating you on names of chemicals and stuff like that, no, sir.
Did you pass it the first time?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I held three certifications at one time. I had the private applicators certification, which is the same thing as a farmer. That was you being able to spray on your own property or property you lease, or you could spray for somebody else, like I do for you down here on the
You're just
farm.
not doing it commercial.
I'm not making any money on it.
Gotcha.
I'm not doing it for profit. And then the other ones I had to go down to Mississippi State and take those. Those were the right of ways and the ornamental and turfs. Now you do have to study for those, and they stick you in a little cubicle by yourself.
So, do y'all think you should go ahead and be a pre-treat, like when you plant? If you know that there's probably going to be armyworms that year, is it good to go ahead and spend that money, spray everything, or do you wait until they get to be a problem?
We hadn't sprayed ours yet.
We're not. We never have.
I think
we just gamble every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get us, sometimes they don't, just because it's a cost thing.
Yeah.
You're spending more money on all that and more time. So most people, and I would say most people probably don't.
The bad thing about the armyworms is this is the bad thing about the armyworms. So you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you get them, by the time you realize you have them, it's too late. Because they'll eat an 1.5 acre food plot in a day, and overnight. You liable to come there on a Friday and come back on Saturday, and it's gone. It's dead as a hammer. They done got it. So
Well, will they bounce back, or is it gone? Once it's gone, it's gone.
They nip them grains off. They're probably gone because I don't know where they get them at, but they get them close to the root or something where it
kills it.
It kills it. I mean, because you've seen them. I mean, like the grass out here, it'll come back because Chisholm explained this last week talking about them. You know, he said that, you know, like your grasses and stuff, they have a root system under the ground. This already established. When you planted that new food plot, there's no root really down there. It just came up. It just established a small root in the ground. And when they cut it, it's over.
So your clover plot, since it has that underlayer of thatch growing from the bottom,
they will eat it down and brown it up, but it can bounce back. Yeah.
But your grains, if you got mainly grains, it's probably going to get them.
Yeah. Definitely if they've not been out there very long.
So how much of this issue with armyworm do you think is created by us in general?
I don't know if it's climate that's brought them on more, or if it's something that farming practices or, application practices of other chemicals or what you're planting does it. I don't know. I don't know.
See, that's what I'm wondering is like how much of this stuff we're spraying for like beetles and wasps and all this other stuff that are predators to the armyworm. So now that we get rid of the predator, they thrive now, Yeah. So how many other bugs out there are we spraying for, especially on these big farm tracks, if they're spraying for certain beetles, well, that beetle there takes care of the armyworm, but now it don't have that predator anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. So like, I would think for crops, like most of this is harvest season right now. Most of everything's already been cut. Like, are they going to mess with mature bean fields or any other, ag grown product after it's mature? Probably not. But it's usually the fresh stuff. So it's what I'm thinking is when people take out fields, they put in cover crops, or like hunters want to put in food plots. That new growth stuff this time of year is what they seem to be drawn to.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if it's the farming practices that's created more of a problem of it, or why do they get in neighborhoods? Most people spray their lawns and keep weeds out and probably spray for bugs and things like that. Is that drawing it and make it more attractive for them?
And see, I wonder too, like I've always been told on your grass in your yard that, which it's worked out every year for me, is that you don't get armyworms until you fertilize. So is it like you say, the new growth from the fertilizer, making that grass pop and getting it green and getting it, healthy?
Yeah. Is
that what's bringing them in, or is it just coincidence that I fertilized the week before and now I got armyworms?
Yeah, I don't know. I know in the past, like when I've seen them in yard, and I've had them in the yard, they live in the trees. That's how you can kind of spot where they're hanging out, because they'll eat tree limbs from the outside back. And when you start noticing it, it looks like, when deer get in a pea patch, how it eats down, all you got stalk, you'll see that in the trees. Well, then usually if you come out at night, I guess they come out and they start feeding at night, you can go out there and shine a light. And if it's an infestation, you can see the ground. Like out here.
Yeah, it looked like the
ground was moving. But these were super active during mid-morning. And I had never seen that before. Usually it's at night. I've only really noticed them from where they've ate the trees, and then you'll see them all on the concrete trying to get, across a walk path or across your driveway or something to the other side. And they're just everywhere.
I'm assuming chickens will eat them, won't they?
Yeah.
Oh, Guinea's chickens, man. They tear them up, man.
Need some chickens.
Yeah.
Need a chicken, a couple of goats.
The turkeys eat them. I bet you they do.
Freaking turkeys eat them.
Yeah.
There have been a few on camera lately.
Yeah, there was a paintbrush rope on that one camera the other day.
That one's big. But yeah, you kind of got to make that decision for yourself on when you want to put that application into place for your food plots. Like right now, we're not doing it because we're subject to get I looked at the weather for down here. We're close to those frost temperatures.
Yeah.
In the next few days.
I'm hoping, because that'll take care of all of our problems. That's going to get our weeds. That's going to get the armyworms pushed back.
What's it supposed to be? 36?
There's some 36, 37s. This morning, I actually came down early this morning and went and sat a little bit first time, because it was the first really cool morning. This was a beautiful morning. I saw a couple deer, nothing I could shoot at, but it just felt good to go sit and have that brisk, cool air. And it wasn't frosty, but man, quiet, beautiful. Watch the woods wake up. If I'd have took a squirrel gun, if I'd have been squirrel hunting, it'd have been boomer day, man. I bet I counted 24. They were everywhere this morning, all over where Wayland's stand was. That's where I went, but there wasn't any. I didn't see the deer, but I've been watching them on cameras, and they've been coming pretty regularly in the mornings and the evenings. It's you don't see a lot during midday, but these cool weather ought to get them a little frisky, a little moving around a little more.
So I took the long way down here, come through Gray's Creek and all that this morning, and come through the big bottom over there and all that. There were deer crossing the road. There were not all the fields, but a lot of the fields had deer in them, just, still out there feeding. And they were moving around this morning out here. I come around Browns Ferry coming to here, and right there at the cattle farm, when you come through those little hills right there were deer running across the road back and forth down through there.
Was they eating at the house this morning? Did you see
sitting in front of the yard? Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Well, so I seen the other evening on camera down here. You see that little bitty fawn still nursing?
Yeah.
Like teeny tiny. There's one at the house, but it can't be a month old. I mean, it's little bitty. And I was going back to that. I was like, man, we definitely had a late drop. Like, that fawn had to have been dropped in July.
Yeah.
Or later,
To be that small. So, and that was another one standing right up here in the curve before I pulled in the gate right there where we bush hogged in on the new property by the house trailer. They were sitting right there feeding when I come in this morning. So it's I think they're enjoying the cool weather too. Well, they're still, so, we still seeing some on cameras, but they're not really going to plots now. I've noticed everybody, have y'all been seeing everybody saying, oh man, I've had these bucks on camera. They disappeared. All my deer disappeared.
Acorns are dropping.
They're gone. And I think that's exactly what it is.
I had one scare me to death the night before last. I took Gus out. It was about 9:30, pitch black dark. I said, man, I'm going to run around here to my cook trailer. I think I left the light on. So I bebopped around the backyard, had my Crocs on. I rounded the corner of that trailer, and that doe was standing within 5 feet eating acorns in that gravel. And me and her both we both wanted to go out. Man, that thing blew at me, and it was close. And, man, it scared me to death. But that's what she was doing, eating acorns out there in the gravel.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the little bitty acorns, what oak is that?
Is it red oak?
There's a couple of different ones.
Is it a post oak drop little acorns too?
Yeah. Post oak acorns ain't very big. They're not the tiny ones. The little bitty ones are like
about like your pinky nail.
So that's like a pin oak. Pin oaks, water oaks, and willow oaks. Those have really, really small.
And the water oak's got the big wavy leaf, right?
It's got a water oak's got a three. Looks like three knuckles on the end of it.
That may be. It's not a pin oak. I know. I think it's either.
Pin oak has a little bitty.
Pin oak looks almost like a red oak. It looks like almost like a red oak tree, but the spines are on the. There's look like pins sticking out the end of the leaf.
Gotcha.
And then your willow oak, it's that long bladed, look like a willow leaf. We used to call those pin oaks a long time ago, but they're got a long bladed leaf. Looks like a willow leaf.
I think it's either a water oak. I was told it was a post oak. But I don't,
maybe
because it's got, I guess the limbs on them are pretty much straight as an arrow.
Yeah,
and it don't have any kind of, they don't look like a big white oak tree or nothing like that. But man, it is. You can fill buckets up every day.
It's hard to keep up with how many oak trees there are around here. I mean, there's like 100 species of them.
Just in Mississippi,
and they're you may not have all of them right here in your area, but around the state of Mississippi, there's like 100 of them. 100.
Well, did you ever see sawtooth acorns this year?
No sawtooth acorns this year at my house. The only thing I was reading on that, trying to figure out, I knew there's several different things, droughts, anything like that. A tree's going to protect itself, so it's not going to produce fruit, which takes a lot of energy for the tree to do that. If it's in a drought when it's supposed to be doing that, it's probably not going to produce an acorn. But there was also, it said when they're blooming, when they're blooming and they're trying to pollinate early in the spring and stuff like that, if we have a hard frost,
like a late
frost during that time, that'll mess them up too. They'll probably just not produce any acorns that year. But this is the first year I've never had them produce acorns. I mean, I probably got, I don't know, it's more than a dozen down the driveway there and around the yard and stuff. And this is the first year that not a single one of them.
And they usually drop bucket loads like Mark's talking about.
You can't even walk in the yard.
Yeah.
And they're big acorns and, or bigger acorns, and you can't even walk in the yard. But I didn't get any this year. Not a one.
Does that change the deer up around your house? Not.
Yeah.
Are
they're all at my house.
Yeah. Are they coming to your house?
Usually this time of the year when they're on the ground, man, they're so, I mean, you go down the driveway and you got to just let them run across the driveway to get out of the way.
Yeah.
They're like cattle.
I got enough acorns right now on top of the hill that you can't see the limestone on my driveway for the acorns.
It's just covered.
Just dropping. And you'll go out there, like the other day, I was out there cleaning on the trailer and stuff, and it was late one evening. You could hear them falling. Dude, and them squirrels are up there wearing them out. And I've never had squirrels at my house.
You haven't popped any?
Not yet.
Man, you got to get us some of the freezer. Oh, you waiting on it to get cold?
Yeah, I need a frost. I ain't going to mess with them squirrels right now. I had to get my pellet rifle back out and dial it in.
I was itching to, man, I was like, man, I should have left this crossbow at the house and brought that 22 and just killed squirrels, sit out there by a tree.
Yeah, I wonder if, I don't know if white oaks are dropping yet or not.
That's what I want to go check today. So that was my thing. And just seeing and hearing other people talk, think their deers moved on. They hadn't moved on. You go find where you got some acorns dropping somewhere around you that's drawing them over there. So we've got, like, say the pond stand, for instance, we took out that vetch field here last week or whenever you got it planted, and there's a camera out there. Well, it hadn't been doing anything. It was on some persimmons, but the persimmons are pretty much gone now. Where I was hunting this morning, I was, looking at the trees hard, and even the ones that were way up high here a week or two ago, they're all gone. So they've done dropped out. So they've moved on, but that's about the time the acorns start coming down. And so it seems like all the little acorns I've seen, like around the pond and all that, I mean, there was acorns everywhere. So, that's where the deer have to be. They've got to be on those. So I'm going to go out here when we get through and see if I can't find the white oaks, see what they're doing. We got good little areas, some mature white oaks. And usually they do some dropping starting about now.
Yeah, we can check those today. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, that's one thing about like your cameras and hunting and stuff like that's one thing, like this time of the year, you definitely got to be able to move around, and because you're hunting over a food plot. Deer are going to come in there and eat in those food plots. I mean, they're grazers, so they're going to eat hard mass, but they do have to have some kind of a, grass or something like that to eat too. Yeah. So, they may hit them here and there, but they're actually staying closer to those acorn trees and staying in there heavy feeding in those areas this time of the year. So it's good for you to move your cameras around and your stands if you can follow those food sources.
You should have had those scent blender with you this morning.
I know. So that's what got me thinking about it. And we blended up some. That video hadn't come out yet though.
No.
So what was your take? I know we're going to be releasing a little video on TikTok about this blender. Just tell everybody what you found.
I found a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that actually works. I was actually impressed. So scent blender, I seen it on TikTok, I'm sure, or Facebook, one of the two, and it got me hooked. It is a portable blender that's rechargeable, that you can take anything from the woods, any type of foliage, any acorns, any fruit, whatever you want, and you put it in this blender and add water, hit the blend button, and it purees it no matter what it is. It's a freaking bad blender. Now, it'll take an acorn and turn it to a slushy, but and it's just a cover scent, or a attractant scent or whatever you want, and it will spray it. Like, that was my thing, is like, me and you've tried to mix marinades up and sprayers and, to spray ribs or hogs, and they won't spray if
anything that's got any kind of fine grit or anything is not coming through it.
Man, this baby right here will spray it.
So it has like a little filter adapter that's on the hose that goes down into the container, and that must be what's stopping everything.
And it's
coming through it.
It was entertaining. I think it has its purpose and has its place, because it gives you an option to have a cover scent, or gives you an option, like you were saying, mix a little bit of vanilla in there, and just, it's something different. You're not spraying dopey on you. At least you got something else, And
well, I was, so we dropped persimmons in it one time, then we put acorns in it, and the persimmons were sweet. The acorns didn't have
a whole lot of smell. Acorn.
Yeah, it didn't really have that earthy. You've seen some of the acorn stuff or smelled some fresh acorns. They have a earthy smell to it, but it didn't really come through in that. But when you added some cedar, like some pulled off some.
It was a cologne, is what that was.
Yeah, it was man. It smelled like the piniest, cedariest smelling stuff that you could, and you just smelled it in the air.
Yeah, you almost
could see that working.
Put a Brute sticker on the side of that, and that's your Brute cologne right there, because that's exactly what it smelled like. But
It did. It was had that piney
yeah,
smell.
get your beard going a little thicker and spray some cedar on. But
I mean, so do y'all think that would actually work as a cover scent? I mean,
Yes.
it'd have to.
You think it would?
Yeah, because I mean that's what I was gonna say is, you know, a lot of times like I've tried all the little gimmicks and tricks back in the day, you know, and like we used to take our clothes and put them in trash bags, unscented trash bags. When we took them off at the house, we didn't go in the house.
Never washed them.
Mm-mm. And we would just take like cedar limbs, like break them off and then stick them down in the trash bag and then tie it up and then hang it on the porch. And then when we, you know, went in and cooked and all that, and the next morning you got up, took your shower or whatever, and
So you didn't smell like sausage.
yeah, you
Bacon.
smell like sausage and bacon, you know, and put your clothes on to go to the stand. Now you still got a human odor, but it helps.
Yeah.
And it did help. So anything like that, I think would help, you know.
So I saw it, you know, that's interesting saying that. This what doesn't have anything to do with scent. It has to do more with visibility. But it was these guys talking about why you shouldn't wash your hunting clothes in just regular detergent. What color is regular detergent? If you think about it, the liquid stuff.
Blue or green.
It's always blue. It's a blue, and that it does something to the fabric of the clothes to make it have a blue hue and light, and that's what the deer are seeing.
Yeah.
So you're looking like something not natural blue sitting there. And a lot of these hunting clothes now are made with this UV protection on it or whatever to where it doesn't show up in that blue spectrum that deer and other animals can see. We can't see it, but washing your clothes in that stuff, it washes that off, or it puts it over the top of it. And you think about the way they market a lot of this detergent, it makes your colors brighter. And that's what it's doing. It's making that hue of that blue color brighter. Yeah. And when you're in a deer stand or you're walking through the woods, you're sticking out like a sore thumb, no matter, you can have the best pattern you got. Highest camo in the world. But if you got it covered in Tide, color boost or whatever, here you are sticking out like a Smurf.
Glowing.
You know, you glowing. Yeah. So I didn't ever really think about that.
Well, I don't never wash. At the end of the season, I'll wash my clothes, you know, like wash them, detergent, stuff like that. And then put them up, you know, store them for the rest of the year. And like when I get out and get ready to hunt now, like I'll pull them out and I'll wash them in like straight water, just no detergent, no nothing.
Just a cold water wash.
Let them go in a cold water wash. You know, may even take them outside and let them hang and dry instead of sticking them in the dryer, just to keep any, you know, to get anything off of them that was on there.
Don't put no fabric softener and none of those little shaking pellets that you pour in there, scent boosters, none of that stuff, right?
Well, what made me think about it was, it's just like when you go out of town, you just got back in town from this past weekend. When you walk in your house, when you got back, it smells different.
Yeah.
You're not used to that smell.
Because you've been out of it.
You've been out of it. So my thinking was, and I may be completely wrong, this may be dumb as hell, but you think about, you take a cover scent that's whatever, vanilla or whatever you get from Walmart, pine, and you go out there and spray it on. When you walk out there and sit at that deer's house, guess what?
He's going to smell something that ain't there.
Yeah, that ain't my normal house smell. But if you have this scent blender, you go out there and you pull acorns from his house and spray on it. To me, that's a better cover scent.
Goatweed or some mint, wild mint or some cedar and all that.
Like you can tell if you walk in your house and your wife's brought in one of them cinnamon sticks from Kroger because it's the holidays, you smell the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can't tell me a deer that lives out there in them woods 24/7 can't pick that up.
Yeah.
It's a gimmick, but I mean, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever used like the scent blocker stuff, the laundry detergent and all that?
I didn't never use the detergent, but yeah.
I've used the spray down, you know, like you spray it. It's supposed to be like cover, but it doesn't have a smell really.
Well, one of the ones that I keep it smells kind of like dirt almost.
I've smelled that one. That's what they call acorn smell, right?
No, they have a dirt.
There's one that's just dirt.
Remember they got the little dirt wafers you put on your hat?
Yeah, that was the ones I was thinking about, but it kind of held that acorn too.
They had dirt,
evergreen, pine. Like pine or cedar or something like that. They had a couple of different ones.
You're supposed to clip that acorn on the clothes or whatever, or that little wafer, and it's supposed to cover you up.
Yeah, I mean, I've used those. I still use them today. If keep one in the truck, you know, if I think the wind's wrong or something like that, and I, you know, really ain't supposed to be going to the stand, but you know, if I'm going to chance it and, you know, the wind's supposed to change that morning and it's not perfect, I will spray with that stuff on. Spray some of that on me, even if I'm sitting in a box stand.
What do you think, the attractant stuff or the cover stuff works better? Because I've used like the nose jammer I started using last year. It smells like sweet vanilla. It smells dang good. I mean, really good. Like you want to eat it. But I was thinking like the deer, they're just going to be curious on that. That smells like something they want. So that's going to bring them in. Or if you're using like some estrus, something that during rut, that's going to get them fired up, hopefully pick up something where they're curious again. It's not a it's not a blowout smell.
If I'm spraying and attracting, I don't want it on me. I don't want him knowing where I'm at.
You're going to make like a drag or something and drag it, tie it around your boot and
have it out in the field in front of you.
Put it out
in front of you
somewhere.
Downwind. Where you think they're going to be coming from?
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily want it just on me. Because
you would spray yourself.
Them looking for me because if they smell it, they're also going to smell the vanilla and, whatever I've done that day, sausage and biscuits or, human sin or anything like that. So I don't want them getting downwind of me and trying to get up there close to me and then get up there and realize, whoop,
it's all a gimmick.
Yeah, it's all a gimmick.
Because I'm sitting there over here thinking, like, I remember buying the scent blocker stuff and sprayed it on. And like you said, you can't, for all we know, it's just freaking bottled water.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. Like,
it's ain't really no way to prove it.
No, there's no way to prove either way. I don't know. I think the scent blender is, in theory, one of the better options because you are taking natural vegetation, natural stuff from your property.
It's in that deer's habitat. And is it a good cover scent? I mean, it's got to be better than nothing. I mean, but if you do smell like sausage and biscuits, like most of the time we do when we get in the stands in the evening, I don't know that that's going to fix it, Yeah.
Hell, sometimes I got them in my pocket.
So, I mean, I think this is more for rifle season or bow season where you're trying to get close, really, really close to the animals,
Yeah.
And that does make a huge difference.
When you're in a box stand with a heater going and it's rifle season and
warming up Bainies and eating Little Debbie's. Yeah. I mean, what are we really trying to do?
It ain't really, I don't think it makes a lick of difference if you're hunting like that.
Now, we could take oatmeal cream pie.
Most of the time.
Yeah. We could take us oatmeal cream pie and throw off in it and see if
that up.
Yeah, that'd be the curiosity scent for the old deer.
So your video shows it works. We got to get you to put it to the test on can you actually use it in the stand with the deer out there, spray some of it, see if it works.
I mean, me and you've used the estrus in the stand before and it works fine.
It works.
It blows in this window and goes out that
one. Comes right back and chokes the crap out of me. Never fails.
Never fails.
We're not smart enough to use the wind direction stuff, the little powder. No, we just use the estrus.
Yeah. If it comes back in the left window, the wind's blowing that way. It's
pretty rough.
It's more and more stuff out there. Like I've seen one and I wouldn't mind trying it just to see, but have you seen the little, looks like a little camera tripod that's the scent diffuser you put out in the food plot and you control it with your phone?
I have seen that. Now I don't know. That's getting up there now. I guess it's Bluetooth or it gets some kind of connection to it where you can control it. They used to have the ones that was kind of like the ones you see in public bathrooms that you put the canister
every
in.
15 minutes.
It'll spray. Yeah, it does it automatically on a battery thing.
That ain't a bad idea either.
I've seen that, and you could put that out there on a tree and let it spray. To me, that'd scare crap out of a deer. He's standing there, that thing skeet.
Oh, yeah, he walks up. Yeah.
I wonder why this tree smells like estrus so much.
So much. So far on a rope that we put out, I ain't had anything. I think it's just early.
Yeah,
I don't think nothing's really messing with the scents just yet.
But it's almost time for them to, start kind of breaking up and
this cold spell.
You start seeing some scrapes and stuff like that. You'll start seeing some early. Usually by Halloween around here, we'll start seeing a few scrapes here and there on this property. And they'll start, showing some interest in it then for sure.
So we went to the Jack last weekend. I was talking to one of the buddies that I think he's up there in Illinois, Indiana area. I don't know where his hunting property is, but he's got a rope hanging and he showed me some videos off their camera of bucks coming up. And I mean, just wearing it out.
So they're already just
there.
Ahead of our deer herd.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I want to say they're probably pretty close to getting ready to rut kick off. I want to say 1st of November. They're
say a lot of northern states. Their ruts usually in November.
Last week Halloween.
Yeah.
Last week October. A lot of places I've seen.
So have you seen talking about up north? It's not CWD. It's the other
Blue tongue.
I think it's like where it makes them go to water.
It's blue tongue.
Blue tongue. Jay says they are getting hammered up there.
What's it called? Hemorrhagic disease or something? It's got some technical name to it. EHD. That's what it is.
Or EW something. It's one of them abbreviations, but I'm supposed to go up there the week of Thanksgiving for rifle season, and he said, "Man, I don't know what to tell you to expect." He's like, because his buddy Doug went and checked some property or whatever, and I think he got in the boat and run up the river, and he said, "Man, it's 20 and 30 deer just laying there in the water."
Oh, it happened in Illinois. It put the hurting on them up there several years back. I don't know. I guess they're bouncing back now, but there for a while, a bunch of my buddies that had leases up there, they quit going because it sold their cabins and stuff. They got decimated.
Devastating if you paid that much money for the lease property and these, Illinois, Iowa's, or Indiana, where the big deer states are, northern states, and an outbreak like that just ruined your deer season.
So nobody up there that I know of. I mean, I'm sure there are people that do, but like they don't harvest does like we do. And I was talking to Jay about that. I was like, how much is that playing an effect? Because everybody goes to Illinois and Indiana to shoot these trophy deer or to grow just ginormous bucks, but they're not really. I mean, how many people aren't playing their part as far as not harvesting the does, not keeping the herd count down, not managing the herd other than just for big bucks? And I mean, I know we're overpopulated in Mississippi too, and we do our best to harvest as many does as we can. But, at what point do you need all states on kind of the same page? Because that's one thing I look at is, every state has its own thing, and every state has its own laws as far as how many you can harvest a year, what it has to be. And at what point it needs to be some type of like regulation? Hey, we all need to get this X amount of does off the property or off
faster than Mississippi did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's a way they can ever legislate that. Just the way they are. I mean, you think with having the ducks, under control like they have them, but it's kind of a nationwide thing.
Yeah.
This is
your limit. This is what you do.
But I don't know, deer. I think the population varies so much from state to state too. It's hard to put just a nationwide number on things because they may not have the herd that we have.
Right.
I mean, Mississippi does have one of the larger deer herds.
And you got to look at, density rates too, just because you think about like Montana or, Texas or something like that, they may have 30 million deer in the state or however many it is, but they're scattered over
vast over the distances. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you get into like, just say Pennsylvania or somewhat, some of those northern areas that are very populated and not
ton of open land.
Yeah. Because, Texas got 5,000, 10,000, 30,000 acre ranches out there, all over the place. That's common, for them to have huge cattle ranches like that, and you don't have that up in Pennsylvania. They have farms, but, it might be 300, 400, 500 acre farms, maybe 1,000 acre. I'm just saying, I don't know exactly what they got, but it's more, the density there is more, thick than it is like in Texas or somewhere like that. So, if a biologist had to come in, they would have to like specifically look at that area where they were at.
I guess that's why they delegate
break it into like zones like we have. Like, all right, zone 1, it's a lot of housing and development and stuff like that, so y'all get, 1 doe, out here we, or 2 does, whatever, and then kind of break it apart by how dense the deer population is in those areas.
Well, too, I think about like us, prime example. We used to do the normal food plot for the fall, and now more and more people are, gravitating toward managing the herd, having more food for them deer. Well, that's going to increase the population right there. If you have a healthier place for these deer to live, more deer are going to live and survive. So it's kind of twofold. Like, we're doing everything to grow the herd, but at the same sense, we got to regulate the herd too.
You have to, or you're going to end up, nature's going to do it for you.
Right.
And then you're going to have these diseases that come out and check them back. They've always been here. That's just nature's way of controlling things. There's, I guess man adds to it by giving them more food, making better habitat, increasing the numbers. I mean, for a simple thing for me would be if you shoot a buck, shoot a doe, or shoot a doe before you shoot a buck.
Yeah.
And just keep it on a 1-to-1 thing.
Yeah.
Most people don't need to kill 5 does and 3 bucks. I mean, you can. I mean, I don't care if you do it. Go for it if it makes you feel better. But I'm just talking about
go for it.
From a food standpoint, it would be hard for my family to eat 8 deer.
Yeah.
2 or 3 we can manage, and that's going to fill my freezer, and I'm going to have plenty of meat for the year. But to have to go out and kill, try to limit out every year, I don't ever try to do that.
It's like what we were talking about last week. Like eventually you have to find something to do with them.
Yeah.
And used to everybody wanted deer. And now it's like, well, you got it vacuum sealed for me?
I think a lot of it's like people get scared of CWD or these other diseases that deer get. So it puts this fear in people about eating that wild game. We've got accustomed to going to the grocery store and buying ground beef in a tube.
That's got dye in it and everything else.
It's got all this other stuff, and then not wanting to eat something that's natural. It's even better for you.
I think all the country folks are dying out.
That's not that generation of people, and it's up to us to teach our kids and the younger generation is to keep going and to eat that kind of food, or they'll all be eating chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
I seen a post this morning a guy made, and that's exactly what it said. It was him over a campfire with a cast iron skillet cooking 2 elk fillets or something. He's like, if we don't show our kids this, this will come to an end. And it's exactly right. I don't have kids, but I've been trying to show Gus and Stella, my 2 dogs, how to do it, but it just ain't working.
There's people out there, and y'all know this, everybody does, that don't want you hunting and shooting animals, that don't want you having guns, that don't want you to have your own land to hunt.
They're still trying to figure out what bathroom to go to.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, if it's not for people like us to try to keep the word going and keep this tradition alive and this way of life that we enjoy, I mean, we could very well not be here,
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. He got to talk about his daddy, which he's been passed away a long time, but he was telling me about, back in the day when he was a kid, they had a routine like through the year, what they done. We'll just say we'll start with, they started in the summertime. All they did was plant gardens, harvest stuff out of the garden, and late in the evening times they jumped in the boat, went to the river, run lines, came back, checked the lines, got the fish off, once or twice through the night, and then got up the next morning, went to school, went to work. And he said, then that evening we picked the garden, we went back to the river again. And he said that was just a constant thing all through the summer. And then when deer season rolled around, Daddy knew like we have to have 3 deer for everybody to
eat deer meat.
Not have enough to eat. We can still go to the grocery store, but to kind of make it, because things weren't as
convenient.
Yeah, convenient, and we're doing a lot better now, salary wise and stuff like that, than my parents were doing back in the day. I know that, and the need for that is not there no more. So it kind of dies out. Now it's just let me just run down here and shoot a deer once a year and go home type stuff, and it's not really a way of life anymore.
I don't think most people hunt just to eat it. I think they should, but I think a lot of it's hunting's commercial now.
Yeah, it's sport.
You want to kill the big buck. You don't care about having to do the work, because y'all know it's a lot goes into it after you shoot that animal, even a doe. You've got to do something with it. You've got to take it. You got to gut it, skin it, cut it up, package it, know what you're doing, or either take it to a processor. And so there's a lot more goes into it than just pulling that trigger. And so a lot of people, it's not worth the hassle to them.
What do you think the total time is from the moment you pull that trigger, how much you're invested till you put it in your mouth, like till you eat your dinner with that animal?
That's a good question.
Like money wise?
No, like how much time do you think? All right, you pull the trigger, you shoot
time?
a doe. Yeah, like
hours. Hour. I mean, I wouldn't say days,
but I mean, I'm saying like, all right,
you
drop the deer in the food plot, so you ain't tracking. You load it up, you go back to camp, you dress that deer, you put it in the cooler, you put it in the walk-in, whatever. You get it out. You got another hour or 2 at least, grinding, slicing, prepping, freezing it, and then you got prep time. So I mean, it's
a lot of time.
4 to 6 hours.
A lot of time goes into that. Now, could you get a piece out and go ahead and start a fire and cook it? Yeah, but we're talking about taking care of the whole animal like you should.
It's hours invested.
Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely.
And a lot of people don't want to invest that time.
Mm-hmm.
It is work. It's hard work sometimes.
And then the same sense, you carry it to a processor, and you got the whole horror story of, am I really getting my deer back? Am I, I carried the guy 40 pounds of meat, but heck, I only got 10 back.
Yeah.
And that puts a bad taste in people's mouth.
Pound for pound, it's got to be way more expensive than supermarket.
Oh, 100%.
But it's so much better. I've got a problem that I need some suggestions on. So I'll get the chance to go on a hunt here in December. We're going up to North Dakota.
I talked to Ben the other day.
Yeah, and so I'm going with a group of 5 people, and we all have tags to shoot a bison. Now, we've got to bring – the only thing they're going to do is cape and quarter, and you've got to get that meat back. Well, how do you get back 5 whole bisons?
So
buffaloes?
I was asking Ben, what is the estimated weight of meat per bison?
500 to 700 pounds
of meat
is what it should yield.
And there's 5 of you.
And there's 5 of them. So we're talking
3,000 pounds.
Probably 3,500 pounds. Yeah. How could you? And I'm just prosing this out there because I need people to chime in. I need the answers. What's a good solution? We're trying to come up with. We tried to come up with some ideas last night. We've got to where the outfitter we're going to. They're just like, well, we've had guys drive back further south than y'all. They'll put a tarp down in the truck. There'll be plenty of snow up there to put the meat in there. It's 0 degrees. So they're like, everything's going to be froze, and they pack the truck bed with snow, put a tarp over it, and you take out and drive. And for us, it would be 18 and a half hours.
Yeah.
Good night.
That's if it's perfect roads, good conditions. Right. If it's that cold, who knows what it's going to be. So that was the solution they had. Now, that seems a little sketch to me. If I didn't have to come further south than, say, upper Missouri, I might say we could do that. But we're still having to come down to Mississippi, and I guess you could stop and try to buy ice and keep on it, but
I talked to Ben the other day at the ball field, and I was like, he's like, man, I don't know what we're going to do. He's like, well, I think we're taking an enclosed trailer and going to do something similar to what you're talking.
Yeah, that was one solution we had.
And I was like, man, I know you can rent reefer trailers, like a 16-foot or 14-foot. Now, I don't know what it'll cost, but at least you have a refrigerator trailer. When you get up there, you fire it up, you set it, you hang everything, quartered up, whatever, and then you bring it back, and it stays refrigerated or froze the whole time. Now, that's an expense.
Yeah.
But that's the only option I see.
That's what I'm thinking, too.
I mean, it
costs an arm and a leg to process it up there and have it shipped back, processed. So I'm going to have to find somebody to process it down here because I don't know how to process a buffalo.
It's just a big deer.
It's just a big deer. You think we can figure it out?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do it a quarter at a time. I mean, you're talking.
I mean, what is the backstrap on a buffalo? Is that like, I mean, that's going to be like a ribeye.
Yeah, it's going to look like,
I bet it's be like what we cook at Memphis and May when we do the
You're going to pull out a ribeye. You're going to pull out 2 ribeyes like that. You're going to have strip. You're going to have the innerloins, the tenderloin, the bison tenderloin. And then you're going to have all that shoulder meat and all that ham meat.
I mean, that goes back just like
it's going to end up. I mean, you'll have brisket on it too.
Broke all the way down. You've got 500 pounds of meat. Like,
so that's what I'm thinking. They're saying, and I don't know if that's quartered 500 to 700 pounds or if that's off the bone 500 to
I mean, because you could take that big grizzly cooler we got at the shop.
Well, I thought about that.
Break it off you could go ahead and dismember it like we do here, go ahead and get your major muscles out of the hind quarter, go ahead and get your tenderloins out, get them broke down in halves if they're too long or whatever, or leave them whole, whatever, and then get them in that grizzly cooler. You
could probably say that was one thing I said. I got one big cooler, and you could buy more coolers like that. You could probably put a whole one in that cooler broke down, I would think. Can you put 3 hogs in it?
3 hogs in it.
Yeah. And that's about 600 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
Or that's about what
roughly. And you probably you could get 4 hogs in it if it was done right. Because you got to think a hog in that cooler is a lot of wasted space, a lot of air space.
Yeah.
Well, if it's quartered up, you'll be able to compact that a little bit more. I mean, that's an option.
Set that in the trailer.
But
fill it up with snow and let it roll and pull the drain plug so where if it melts, the water gets off.
Right. That's still, I mean, that's an option, and I do have a connection on those coolers if we need it. But
if anybody knows, y'all chime in and give us your thoughts on how you could get some quartered up bison back from North Dakota to Mississippi.
Just throw the whole damn thing ass in the truck.
Just ride. Well, I think that's what the guys
with the head hanging over the side.
Put him in there.
That's something that a lot of people we done it. We went to Michigan salmon fishing.
Yeah,
we had no idea how much meat we were going to bring back.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm flying up, I'm not going to be able to fly with
a bison.
Oh, you're flying.
Yeah. But we are going to have somebody drive a truck. in a trailer.
Wes is driving his motorhome, ain't he?
I don't think he's taking that. I think he's just going to take a truck and trailer.
Truck and trailer.
Yeah.
Well, I guess y'all got a lodge to stay at and stuff like that. I would look at seeing if you can't find a reefer trailer to rent.
That was a solution that we started thinking about last night. I was going to try to make some phone calls
because you could throw, if it's a plug-in reefer trailer.
I figured it out.
You figured it out.
I figured it out. Just get your Grizzly cooler, strap it onto a pallet, and take it to UPS.
Let's let them ship it.
Let them ship it back to the shop.
Fits, it ships.
I would guess that's probably, that'd be $1,500 a ship.
That's what I was thinking. Like I was thinking, well, how much could we do a dedicated truckload?
You'd be cheaper to do a
truckload,
yeah.
Just from Bismarck to Memphis.
I'm just ready to. I mean, that's a lot of meat.
Well, we're fixing to be eating some buffalo. I know that.
We're good. Don't miss.
So you're gonna do some video. You're gonna do a little video today, huh? You're gonna make us a little.
Yeah, we
something hearty.
We're gonna put some meat on your bones today. We met Cooking with Cajun over at Squirrel Cook Off, and he gave me some of his cornbread mix, which I'm not a big box cornbread guy. Like I'd rather make it. So I made some at home, and I was shocked. I mean, it's solid. So we're going to kind of do a Buck Junkies review of his cornbread mix, and I'm going to make some quick and easy turnip greens.
Heck yeah. I'll eat a bowl of greens and cornbread for lunch.
Mm-hmm. And I'm even going to squirt me a little bit of mayo on it.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm pepper sauce. I like that pepper sauce. Homemade pepper sauce on it. What do we got going on in the
community?
Yeah, in the community.
So we're running a contest again. You give that backpack away?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to give a backpack away.
Absolutely.
It's a hunting backpack. It's I'll
bring it into the next podcast. It's in my office.
I don't know what kind of backpack it is, but a big expensive one.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a hunting backpack, and we're gonna give it away. What I need is either your bow kills or just some of your best game cam pictures that you have. Either or
for the fall.
We're gonna run this through into about the second week of November, and we'll stop it right before rifle season, start something else. But we'll give you a backpack and a little bit of swag go with the backpack. So send those pictures in, go on the community page, and we should have a post on there. If we don't have one, we'll get one up before this hits.
Yeah, I've seen some. There's been some people posting some pictures on there. There's been some good looking stuff.
You might need to take that backpack on your buffalo hunt.
Break it in?
Yeah, break it in, sign it, and be good to go.
Sign it and give away a tenderloin.
Yeah, there you go. A bison tenderloin.
I don't know about that now. We might have to hold on to that.
Yeah. I imagine it's going to eat pretty good. I know the bison that we've got from Gamekeeper has been, those steaks have been fantastic. Yeah. And you couldn't, if you didn't know any better, you'd think he's eating beef.
Bison's good.
It's one of the better meats.
I'm anxious to try like some of the other cuts, like some of the roast off of them and stuff like that. I mean, you think a deer roast to fill a crock pot up, a freaking bison roast to fill 4 crock pots up. That's a big old chunk of meat.
It is. Absolutely is.
I had to find them tri-tips.
It's bigger than a cow.
Yeah. I looked a while ago, they said average on hoof is about 2,000 pounds.
That's exactly what the guy told us. 2,000 pounds is going to be the animal we're going to shoot.
What are you shooting it with?
I'm probably going to take my 300.
Your new one?
Yeah. I got it over in the gun case. I need to show it to you.
I'm excited.
Well,
I ain't even going. I'm excited.
I got to go find some white oak acres dropping, hopefully. I don't know if it's too early for them to drop, but I'm fixing to go out and see if we can find something. And well, you get to making some greens and cornbread.
Yeah, it's a good cool morning too. That's gonna be a good little lunch.
Man, I want to go back in the morning. I don't know if I'm gonna get a chance to. It may be a week because I got to do a little travel this week. But
busy week.
It's time, fellas. It's time. Hopefully, Jamie will be back with us next week. He'll be all rested up. And we're gonna do a little replanting, hopefully, to the dove field where the army worms got it.
I think Wheel's out there replanting it now.
Hopefully we'll get some rain, but that's going to do it for today. We'll be back to check in next week and see how things are going. Y'all got anything else before we get out of here, fellas?
That's all I got. We got we're going to be out next week. So I'll be out next week because we're going camping up in Indiana, but
heck yeah,
I'm going to do a little deer spotting while I'm up there.
There you go.
Get some ideas on them, but we appreciate y'all listening. Y'all check us out on all the platforms, and like I say, always shoot us any questions y'all have, any recipes y'all want us to try. We're always open to any new ideas, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, we gone.